Hello and welcome to my channel. It's sometimes really hard to find good fabrics for Victorian and Edwardian shirtwaists and bodices because there are not so many lightweight cottons and silks available. So I have moved to thrift stores and especially the curtain sections of the thrift stores to find lightweight cottons and silks for my costuming. I want to make this Edwardian shirtwaist by the black snail patterns, and it really requires this kind of really lightweight see-through cotton. And what I managed to find is this, actually two of these really pretty curtains. They are really lightweight, as you can see. They have this little dotty pattern, and it also has this really nice ruffle that I might be able to use. It feels like 100% cotton. I'm not sure. I haven't tried burning it, but for my purposes it will be okay. It cost only like perhaps €2, so it was really cheap, and quality is something that it would be hard to find on a fabric store. So I'm really happy. So let's start.
I started with the yoke that has the most detail. The first thing to do is to sew all the pin tucks. I ironed the tucks in place and then proceeded to sew them. All this is done before the yoke piece is cut to shape. I decided to take out my Singer 12 instead of my treadle Singer 15. It is slower, but it is a bit easier to sew accurately when you are going this slow. Let's make this a bit faster. The pin tucks are now done, and I have cut the yoke into an approximate shape. I made the yoke slightly bigger than what it was in the original pattern, as I thought it looked better this way. I then pinned my lace between the sections of pin tucks, and now I need to fasten the lace. The lace is now fastened, and I am slashing the fabric from underneath the lace. Then I can iron it away from the lace and fasten with another row of stitches. However, let's jump forward to the sleeves. Inspired by the horizontal pleats in the girls' Edwardian bodies I made previously, I decided to add horizontal pleats to this blouse as well. These were very popular during Edwardian era, and I have seen them featured in several period patterns and fashion plates. Here I have already stitched on the pleats and can now proceed to cut out the sleeve pieces. Before attaching the sleeves though, I need to sew the yoke to the front and back pieces, and sew the side seams. I think that my yoke insertion wasn't really done according to the instructions. I sewed the yoke on the right sides together and then finished the edge with the zigzag stitch. Yes, I had to use my modern machine for that, as I was too lazy to whip the edge by hand. The side seams were French seamed. Now I'm sewing the sleeve seams with French seams. After Singer 12, my Singer 15 treadle machine feels super fast. Let's gather the top of the sleeve to create the puffed sleeve. Now I'm moving to the collar. It has both pin tucks and lace. Oh well, it had at this point. After I had basically finished this blouse, I ended up ripping the collar away and taking out some height and the lace. The collar closes with hooks and eyes, and there is a little placket here to protect one's skin. As I'm sewing over metal eyes, I'm going really slowly and carefully. I don't want to break a needle, especially with this Singer 12 that uses very hard to get needles. Sewing a collar into the curved edge is always tricky. I decided that I could use the Edwardian method and do the whole collar insertion by hand. The seam is short and it doesn't take long even done this way. I have both got bored with slow sewing with my Singer 12 and gained confidence in my Singer 15 sewing skills, so I switched to the newer machine. Now I'm making the button bands. Using twill tape to strengthen the edges was genius. I chose the 3/4 sleeves with ruffles at the cuffs. So there are more pin tucks to sew. I sewed the buttons and the buttonholes on with the modern machine. The hooks for the collar fastening I did by hand, since the machine stitches would have shown. Well, and there was supposed to be a piece of boning at the collar too. I added it later when I was fixing the collar though. Here's a tip. When you make the ruffles for the sleeve cuffs, you can sew one single long strip of pin tucked ruffle and then cut it in half. It is much faster. The ruffles are now sewn onto the sleeves. There is no gathering at this stage. The gathering is later done with a cotton tape that is sewn onto a channel created by the seam allowances. I tried the blouse on and the collar didn't work. It was too high and folded on itself. So I took it out and shortened it a bit. The front of the blouse felt a bit empty, so I bought a tiny bit of lace and cut out this motif that I sewed to the center front. As the last step, I added lace to the cuffs and the edges of the yoke.